Welcome to Chapel, our leadership lead-in. We believe in the potential of people to shape the world for good. If you've been leading a team, a family or a business for a week or a decade, we want to create a space where we can grow and learn together. I hope you enjoy this discussion. Welcome to Chapel, our leadership lead-in. We believe in the potential of people to shape the world for good. If you've been leading a team, a family or a business for a week or a decade, we want to create a space where we can grow and learn together. I hope you enjoy this discussion. So, what is leadership? Well, it's influence. And I think it works out in three different ways. I think, first of all, leadership is about carrying weight. Those four guys, in that analogy in Mark 2 of that story, okay, they literally picked the guy up and carried him to the feet of Jesus. They broke the rules, broke through a house roof, but they carried the weight, okay? In other words, leadership can be measured in blood, sweat, and calories, okay? It's not virtue signaling, okay? It's not just about fame. It's not about celebrity. It's about measurement in calories, okay? Perfectionism, I think, can often stop us just becoming carriers. For those of you who've got a perfectionist angst, I have perfectionist angst in certain areas. If you tell my wife, she'll say, "You're not a perfectionist," it's because I'm a real mucky pup when I go home and I'm a mess and I leave my socks everywhere. But in certain areas, I'm very perfectionist. But often we can work so hard to get things 100% right, 100% in order, that we actually miss our opportunity just to get going and just to start leading. I know people who are perfectionists and they've been working on a project their whole lives in their garage. You probably do as well, and they've just been working away trying to build something, but it's never got out of their garage. The ideas never got out their garden shed because they've never just stepped out and started carrying the weight. And you only grow as a leader as you take on opportunity, as you take on responsibility. Okay, so you have to take hold of these things and then let them take you forward. But perfectionism can rob us of our future. Yes, we want to be the best we can be, okay, with the opportunities that we have in front of us. But actually, perfectionism, what's perfect, that will never exist probably this side of the world. Maybe one day when we're in heaven, we'll see what's truly real and truly perfect. But until then, we're just striving. But we just got to start carrying weight somewhere, okay? Perfectionism can rob us of our ability just to get going and get moving, okay? What I do gives authority to what I say. I like that. What I do gives authority to what I say. Remember, it's our actions that inspire other people. A lot of people, they want authority before they've done anything. But actually what you do through your sweat, your calories, your hard work, your working through the night, your early morning rising, that is what people will respect in the long term. That gives you authority to what you say, okay? I think they call them KPI indicators, measurable outcomes in big businesses. In other words, we can ask questions about, like, who am I actually mentoring right now? Who am I coaching? What am I producing? What am I contributing to? What am I helping make prosperous? What am I excusing? What am I just not working on hard enough? What are my output levels? It's good to know where we're having an impact, okay? So we carry the weight. I think that's so important. Influence is carrying the weight. That's often not the very popular one. Influence is other people focused, okay? I think that's really key. They are dedicated to bring out the potential in other people. Influencers are dedicated to other people. This is really, really important. I think great leaders are great producers. They have a producer mentality. Think about music producers like Brian Eno or Jay-Z or Simon Cowell and these guys, okay? They bring in the raw talent. They bring in the energy and the dreams and the ideas and the voices of others, and they gather them together in order to produce not something for themselves, in order to make the artist look even brighter and make something even more beautiful for that other person. So there can be a finished song, a finished product. I think great leaders have great producer mentality. Notice that Jay-Z, well, he will sometimes sing, but he won't always sing and then rap and then play the drums and then play the play the bass at the same time. He doesn't take over the whole scenario. He's not a one-man band, okay? He is actually a producer of other people. You know, one of the dreams we have for the church is to get New Life College going, and Peter, I know, is working really hard on it, and the teams are starting to work at the dynamics of it behind the scenes. But what is it really about? Well, the college is really about producing others so they can become real influencers and leaders in their scene. You think about the 7 big cultural streams: church, business, education, government, the social sector, the arts, the media. We want to create a generation of people who are excellent in their calling so they can go and be influencers and world shapers in those several cultural streams. Often when we went to Bible college many years ago, back in the last century, not quite, but a long time ago, it was kind of, you went to Bible college and it was like, you're going to become a pastor or you're going to go on mission. They're the 2 options you've got. So you leave Bible college. Anyone who had a call to business or education or these other things were kind of left a little bit like stumped. Well, what do I do now? There was kind of this tumbleweed floating through their eyes. Well, actually, no. Our idea is to gather around, become a hits factory of future leaders and world shapers and influencers. And it's not about age, it's just about whenever you feel it's the right time and cool to come to the New Life College. So it's going to be an exciting project for us, but leadership is serving the common good of others, not ourselves, okay? And what I like about this means we can hand out multiple batons to people. Often when you go to, you remember one of those church services when you get given the baton, right now it's your time to lead, and it's very individual. But actually really there are multiple batons that need to be handed out. If you have a producer mentality, there's all different types of things that need to be achieved in terms of music. Think about how many different instruments that need playing. There's sound, there's lighting, there's production, there's all kind of engineering, so many elements to producing just one song. Then there's video, filmography, you could take it in that direction, and media, okay? But basically it's having a producer mentality. I think, imagine if there was 100 leaders who had a producer mentality, and it wasn't about putting themselves in the centre of things, but it was actually about raising up others and watching them go on, creating platforms for other people to make a difference in. And I think that would make a huge difference. I mean, we're doing this New Life College because we have a background growing up in community, in a training centre environment, mission centre. And I know the heart of New Life Church, which is where I'm based, was always been to raise up young people that would go around the world. And it's done it by the scores. And this is part of the legacy we've been given. But actually, it's having a great producer mentality, a football coach mentality, okay? He doesn't play, unless you're Kenny Dalglish and a real legend, play for Liverpool, like the red scarf behind me. But generally, if you're a manager of a football club, it's about setting up the field, training so that others can perform to a higher level and win the game, okay? And it's having that mentality. We have to step back. When you're younger, it's very much about you, isn't it? You're about achievement and getting somewhere and being known. Maybe it's more about the fame game than actually real influence. But as you get a bit older, you realise actually time is moving really fast, and a true legacy is about raising up other people, not jumping ship when you hit a storm, but actually raising up others and giving them a platform to become all they are called to be. Okay, so it's other people focused. Number 3, okay, influence is about becoming a talent scout. It's a searching for leaders. Okay, it's searching for leaders in different areas of life. Okay, leadership is not about our position we hold. Okay, it's about searching and looking for others, and that's a different mentality to have, isn't it? Because I think some environments are more suited to it. So I was a youth pastor before doing this, and it was kind of to grow the youth. I essentially had to grow leaders to create more departments, to create more small groups, to create more influential teaching with different age groups. So it became more natural. But for other areas, I remember speaking to Dan Blythe, who's head of the creatives there at Hillsong. He was saying in certain areas of creativity, it's actually harder to raise leaders because some of these creatives spend literally 10,000 hours, the 10,000 hour principle, trying to become brilliant at what they do. And then to try and have to give that position, what they've become away, is a real seems to be really hard to produce. But imagine if producers are there to help produce and release other people. And even if we are super talented, you might have spent 10,000 hours on the drums or 10,000 hours becoming an artist, an engineer or creative. But in the end, that's not going to last. Your legacy will be your search to help others go on forward. It's kind of like having your own children in the end. The priority is always what they're going to become in the end, isn't it? You become less and they become more. That's part of having a father's heart and a good mother's heart. And actually, we've got to ask ourselves, are we really interested in becoming talent scouts for other people? And that's not as easy as it's said, because it also means saying no. It's not saying yes to everyone who has a great idea, a dream, or can play 3 broken chords on a guitar. Yes, you're in, play on a stage, or yes, you can do, start a business. No, it's actually saying no. You need to be trained. You need to dedicate. You need to put the thousands of hours in as well. But it's also having in mind that actually in the end, it's not about you. It's about reaching others and searching others. I think it's the big transition point, really. They talk about leadership. Kerry Newhoff says this from his book. People may hold a position of leadership. Then there are those who are truly leaders, okay? So he's talking about transition. Often people hold seats of leadership because there is no one willing to take on the role. But being in a seat of leadership without having the gift of leadership is a strategy for stagnation and dysfunction. Consequently, one of the transitions every organisation, every church, every team has to grow through is to move people who have the gift of leadership into positions of leadership. Why? Because if you've got a gift of leadership, then you'll produce other people. You'll be a talent scout for others. If you're just holding a position down, then it only will be a gridlock. It'll be about you holding on to that position. But producer mentality is always looking for others and replacing yourself and encouraging others on. So a good few questions to end on is, how do we look for real leaders? Okay, so how do we search for leaders in our teams? I know we talk about our care groups here in the church. We have about 40 or so small groups, which are the pastoral plank. We have 40 pastors, but we need 80 pastors. So how do we keep producing? How do we look for talent? How do we become great talent scouts for this season we're in, okay? Well, I think first of all, we need to look to see who is following them, okay? Look to people to see if they've got any followers. There's a Chinese proverb that says, he who thinks he leads and has no one following them, he is merely taking a walk. Who's actually following them? Look at people. You can look out in a playground at school and there'll be a certain person. It doesn't have to be the loudest person, be a person who is an encourager, is kind to others, and often you'll watch them walk around and they'll have 3 or 4 people just follow them around like bees around honey. And often they've got a leadership gift, and it's an influencer gift, isn't it? Okay, so look to see who's following people already. People in your church, in your organisation, in your business have already, in that group of people that are there that you're gathering around, there's already influence there, influencing the group. When you're not in the room, someone else is leading that group, okay? There's no such thing as a leadership that is just stagnant. When you stop leading, someone else will take on that spot and start leading, okay? So look to see who's following someone. Number 2, look for godly people who have a track record of handling responsibility in other areas of life, okay? Look to see who's capable, who's responsible, who goes the extra mile, who's really faithful. They just come in right at the end. They'll clean up, sweep up. There's a girl here called Rhiannon. She's absolutely amazing. She sings well. She preaches well. She serves well. She pastors well. She's a good all-rounder. Married to Ben, awesome guy as well, who does all those things. He doesn't sing well. That's true. Okay, but he's a great pastoral figure. But she would always, the key was, she would always be last in, last out when she was here at the New Life College. She'd be sweeping, mopping. She'd always be going the extra mile, carrying responsibility for what was in front of her. That's a good sign of a good leader. If you see some of those, invest in them, hire them quickly, okay? Because even if they don't know what they need to do right now and they don't have the right training, it doesn't matter, because if they've got potential and they've got the right heart to go in the extra mile, then you can always train them. You can always send them on a course. You can always pay for them to do a degree, okay? But it's investing and looking for people that actually handle responsibility well. Invest in them. It doesn't have to be a young person. It could be a retired person if you're in the volunteer sector work like we are. Some of the best workers we have are retirees, are people who have got the time on their hands, but they know how to work, they know how to lead. Okay, they've already been execs in companies. They're teaching us, they're teaching me how to lead, and invest in those sort of families, men and women. Okay. Number 3, look for people who are creating momentum wherever they have gone and wherever they have been. Okay, this causes a real difference, doesn't it? People that create momentum when they move into certain zones, things happen, things get done. They create followship, things start moving. If they're sailing the ship, it starts to navigate somewhere. It doesn't just bob up and down. It doesn't stay in a think tank status. Okay, there's lots of think tanks, okay, which are so important right now. And often high exec leaders can only give you 2 hours, and they can give you strategy, some ideas, and that's all they can do because they're already leading at a high level in their corporations. But for a lot of people, they just want to become part of a think tank. But actually, no, it's not just about lots of great ideas. Most great ideas never get out of the shower, do they? I don't know about you. That's a lot of my great ideas are in the shower. They never come out with me into the office. But actually, the great ones are that you take hold of and they create momentum in a zone. Who's creating momentum right now in your church? Who's creating momentum right now in your team? Who, your small group, when you gather around a pastor, people creates momentum, serves, has hospitality, has a word ready, doesn't just roll up and sort of put their feet up and eat all your sweets, actually has a word ready, and they're ready to invest in the lives of other people around you. Here's your momentum creator. Number 4, then when you find all these, give them an opportunity of leading in your organization. Okay, you've got to create opportunities for people. I think that's one of the mistakes we make as leadership teams. Sometimes we just don't hand the baton over because we're just kind of afraid that they're going to mess it up. Well, we mess up as well, so don't be the only one that messes up in your organization. Give opportunities for people to start serving, to start influencing. By delegating responsibility, that becomes their opportunity to start leading. Often when you put the leadership badge out, one of the big responses is, I'm not a leader. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want the badge. I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to hold the mic, all this kind of stuff. But when you just explain to them, well, really it's about serving people. It's about loving people. And actually you just hand out small opportunities. Often these small opportunities become spaces and grow environments where people can really rise up and go to a whole nother level. You know, anyone can find dirt, but you have to dig for gold. And one of the ways you dig for gold is by creating opportunities for people in leadership, and then they can start to grow off the back of it. And as they step out in faith, I believe faith grows, doesn't it? It starts as a mustard seed, but as it gets planted, as it gets nurtured, as the influence grows, they can start to gradually become incredible leaders. We're all on a journey, and none of us arrived, and there's no such thing as a perfect leader just arrives in front of you. Okay, we're all growing every day. Leaders are learners. They're continually pushing forward, making mistakes. We've got to create opportunities for people to make mistakes in as well. Have you ever thought about that? That actually we'll try and create an environment the best we can, but then we've got to say, here's the opportunity, go for it. And if they make a mistake, then just be really gentle, really kind, and then keep giving them opportunities, because that's how they learn. Okay, and we have to be not so perfectionist driven all the time with our leadership style and say, no, here's an opportunity, go for it. It's just like raising children, isn't it? You give them opportunity, they might do a really good job, then just encourage them. But if they make a mistake, you say, well, you just reteach them how it's done and give them another opportunity. Okay, so leadership is an influence. It's not fame. Okay, it's influence. Leadership is carrying the weight. It can be measured in calories. Leadership is other people focused. We need to have a producer mentality, and leadership is about becoming talent scouts for other people. Okay, so the next session we're going to do is about one of the big differentiators of leadership, which is about vision. Okay, great leaders have great vision. They have a burden, an itch, and they work on it, and this vision of the future creates a whole lot of momentum behind them as they push on into the future and make a difference. Right now, we need great leaders in this season, don't we? It's not a time to back down, hide away, hide behind what could have been. Okay, this is a time when we need great leaders, great navigators to adjust the sails and lead us through the storms that life is throwing at us. Okay, so be blessed, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for being part of today's leadership chat. We want to keep adding as much value as possible to our teams each week. Learning is not a one-time event or a periodic luxury. Great leaders in great companies recognise the ability to constantly learn, innovate and improve is vital to their success. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It's the force of teams working together for the common good on a weekly basis. Blessings, family.